a garden that only blooms at midnight tonight. We're going somewhere that exists just after the rest of the world has gone quiet. A walled garden, old stone, ivy soft with dew. Nobody else knows it's there. The gate only opens for one person, and tonight, that person is you. Let your breathing slow down to match the pace of a place where nothing is ever in a hurry. Let's go in. The gate is iron, black with age, and it never makes a sound when you push it open. You've oiled the hinges yourself over years, though you sometimes wonder if the garden simply prefers silence and arranges things that way on its own. Beyond the gate, the air changes. It's cooler in here, and it smells faintly of turned earth and something sweeter underneath. A fragrance you've never found a name for in any book, despite a lifetime spent around books. You come here at midnight, because that's when the garden wakes. Not before. You learned that the first year, when you tried arriving at dusk and found the beds empty of anything but green, ordinary leaves folded tight like closed hands. You'd almost given up on the seeds you planted. Rare ones, gathered from places most people forget exist, traded quietly with other collectors who understood what you were building here. Then, one night, you stayed later than planned, dozing on the stone bench near the fountain, and you woke to find the whole garden had opened around you, as if it had been waiting for you to stop watching. Now, you keep a small brass clock on the bench, its face lit by a candle in a glass jar, and you watch the hour hand approach 12 with the patience of someone who has done this enough times to know better than to rush it. You walk the gravel path slowly. It curves along the west wall first, past the bed where the moonflowers grow. Not simple moonflowers, the ones anyone might grow on a trellis, but a variety you've never seen named in any catalogue. Their vines are thicker than they should be. Their leaves are deep blue-green that looks almost black in low light, and their buds are the size of your fist. You crouch beside one now, close enough to feel its stem trembling faintly, though there's no wind tonight. You watch the bud loosen. It happens slowly, the outer petals peeling back like fingers uncurling from a fist, revealing layer after layer of white so pale it seems to hold its own light. When it finally opens fully, the scent reaches you. Vanilla, maybe, or rain on hot stone, though you've never quite managed to pin it down in your notebooks, no matter how many times you've tried. You've filled 3 notebooks with attempts. You keep trying anyway. Further along the path, past a low hedge trimmed into no particular shape, you reach the pond. It isn't large. You could cross it in a dozen steps if it weren't for the lily pads crowding its surface. But it holds more stars than the sky above the garden walls seems to allow. You've noticed that before. The reflection always looks richer than the original, like the water is keeping a slightly better version of the night for itself. The lilies here bloom only for a few hours each visit. Their petals are the color of the inside of a shell, pink fading to white, fading to something almost translucent at the very tips. You kneel at the pond's edge and watch one begin to open, its petals unfurling with a motion so gradual, you have to remind yourself to breathe normally, because some part of you always wants to hold still, as if stillness might make the moment last longer. It doesn't need to last any longer than it does. You reach into your satchel for your notebook, the worn leather one with the pressed flowers tucked between certain pages. Souvenirs of nights like this one. You write down the date, though dates feel strange here. The garden doesn't seem to age the way the rest of the world does. Then, the temperature, the faint humidity in the air, the exact shade of the lily's petals, as best your pencil can manage. This is the part of the work that grounds you. Wonder needs a record just as much as magic does, if that's even the word for it. You've never told anyone about this garden, not because you were asked to keep it secret. Nobody ever explained the rules to you, if there are rules at all, but because you sense, in some quiet, unspoken way, that the telling might change it. Some things only thrive when exactly one person is watching. You've made your peace with that. There's a particular kind of contentment in being the only person who knows exactly how the pale trumpet vine along the east wall curls its tendrils clockwise, always clockwise, never once the other direction, no matter which way you turn the trellis. You stand and continue along the path, past the herb bed, where the mint here grows silver rather than green, its leaves cool to the touch even on warm nights. You run your fingers along a few leaves as you pass, releasing a scent that's hard to place. Something new each time, though you can never predict what it will be. Tonight, it smells faintly of the sea, though the nearest coastline is hours away. You smile at that. The garden has its own logic, and you've stopped trying to argue with it. Near the center, where the paths converge around an old sundial nobody needs at midnight, stands the tree. It's the oldest thing here, older than you, older than the wall itself. Its bark silvery and smooth in places, deeply grooved in others like a map of some very long life. Its branches don't produce flowers so much as small lanterns of light. Soft, amber, swaying gently, though there's no breeze to move them. You've never touched one, though you've come close, reaching a hand up into the lowest branches more than once. Something always makes you pause before contact, not fear, just a sense that some things are better watched than held. You sit beneath it instead, on the flat stone, worn smooth by however many nights you've spent here over the years. The lantern light flickers gently above you, casting soft, moving shadows across the gravel. From this spot you can see almost the whole garden, the moonflowers still opening along the west wall, the lily pond holding its extra stars, the silver mint bed catching whatever light drifts down from the tree. Everything is doing exactly what it does at exactly this hour, unbothered by whether anyone is watching, and yet somehow glad, you think, that someone is. You take your notebook out again and simply sketch instead of writing. Quick, loose lines meant only for your own eyes. The tree's silhouette, the curve of the pond, a single moonflower, still mid-bloom, its petals caught in that halfway moment, between closed and fully open. Your pencil moves without much thought, the way it does when your hands know a shape better than your mind does. Somewhere past the east wall, an owl calls once, and then the garden settles even deeper into its stillness. You've noticed that sound only ever reaches you from outside the walls. Inside, everything moves in near silence, petals unfurling without so much as a whisper, water shifting around the lily stems, without a ripple of noise. It's as if the garden has agreed to keep its wonders quiet, offering them instead through scent and color, and the occasional feeling of pressure against your skin as something ancient exhales nearby. You check the little brass clock, midnight. You have hours yet before the garden begins, very slowly, to close itself again. The moonflowers folding inward first, then the lilies, then finally the lanterns in the tree, dimming to embers and going dark, until tomorrow night calls them open once more. You don't need to rush any of this. There's nowhere else you'd rather be right now, beneath a tree older than memory, watching a garden bloom for an audience of exactly one. You lean back against the trunk, its bark warm despite the night air, and let your eyes half close. The scent of moonflower and silver mint, and something like distant rain drifts around you. Somewhere nearby, a lily finishes opening with the softest sound you've ever almost not heard. You could fall asleep right here, you think. The garden wouldn't mind. It has kept watch over stranger things than a tired botanist dozing beneath its oldest tree. Your notebook rests open on your lap, tonight's careful observations tangled up with rough sketches that only you could interpret. Tomorrow, in daylight, none of this will be visible from outside the wall. Just ordinary green leaves, folded shut, waiting, but you'll know. You always know what's happening behind that ivy-covered stone, hour by patient hour, whether anyone else believes you or not. The lanterns in the tree above you dim slightly, gently, the way a room dims when someone turns a lamp down rather than off. You watch them through half-closed eyes, and somewhere in that soft amber light, between one slow blink and the next, the garden folds you gently into its own kind of quiet. If you're still here with me, I hope some part of you has already wandered off into that walled garden of your own, somewhere only you can see, blooming just for you. There's no need to hurry back. The moonflowers will keep opening slowly, whether you're watching or not, and so will you, in your own time. Rest well tonight, in whatever quiet place you've found. Good night.